What's that?
Yeah, so what is that? What is that, Keisha?
Not a hole, Keisha. A valve.
So it's a valve, but more specifically, Miss Frizzle, it is the pyloric sphincter. Thing is that digested food, so bolus plus gastric acid, after you've done all the gastric churning, now it becomes chyme or chyme. Again, tomato, I don't really care, but again, go with whatever your preceptor tells you. So what is it? It's liquefied digested food. Now it's being mashed up more and digested more via both physical and chemical digestion. Now it's a lot smoother and more liquidy. It's also very acidic because again, it just mixed with that very acidic stomach acid with a pH around 1.5 to 3.5. And yeah, if you've ever seen this, like I know, yeah, so if if you know, you know, but like my mom, she's from the Philippines, and then it's funny when she cooks tripe stew, it's like I think I don't personally like it, and then the way one of my uncles makes it, like I remember just like, oh my god, what's that smell? And then me and the cousins are running away, and then my mom took that recipe and she made it as well. Yeah, so then yeah, so yeah, it's like, and ever since we started making it, we run. My brother and I just lock our when I was at home with him, I would just lock our doors because it smells like crazy. And she's like, "Oh, the chyme gives it more flavor." But I'm like, "Oh, this is all the digested food from the goat or pig that was still in there." So yeah, it's very acidic, and that's what it's here. You see here, that's intestines. And yes, I am half Filipino. So what we have here is that the duodenum. So this is the first part that receives the chyme. So again, the tripe stew is intestines, and this is why like I can eat, or I mean it's not my favorite, but I remember like my friend, like his family makes it. I think they do like triple washing of the intestines and whatnot. I'm like, okay, I can eat this. The smell doesn't make me like like I mean it's stomach acid, and it's just like it has that certain smell. If you know what that smells like, you know it. Yeah, but okay, so big major parts of the small intestines, you have your duodenum, you have your jejunum, and then you have your ileum. So again, what's happening here is it's anatomical directions don't really follow here because again it's going all this way curly Q right here. But the first part connected to the stomach, duodenum, the part that connects to the large intestines, the ileum, the jejunum is in the middle. Now, is there a clear border between these three regions? It's hard to tell unless you actually look under a microscope, and I couldn't find images that I think are appropriate for at this level. I think it's more like if you're going to specializing in this or going to histology or going to pathology, maybe you would have to know that. But again, there is a difference in the layer tissue between the three regions, but from this level, just looking at it, it's really hard to tell. So this is my mnemonic. I think, what are these? These are gummy candies, but what gummy candies start with J? Yeah, so then these gummy candies, they are jujubes. So I like to think of it, dude, I ate so many jujubes, I became ill. So then that's why that's my mnemonic for knowing the three in order. So again, duodenum, first part of the small intestines, jejunum in the middle, and then ileum, that's the part that ends before it reaches the small or the large intestines. Okay, so let's look a little closer at the tissue structure of the small intestines. So we have again that mucosa, submucosa, and muscularis externa. But now it becomes the serosa. So it still is the serosa and adventitia, they're continuous with each other. But you still have the first three layers are still the same. But what we see here are all of these circular rings called circular folds and all these little bumps. And what we have right here are what we call villi, and then we have these smaller projections called microvilli. So, or actually villi, so what we have are these are actually circular folds. So I retract that. So then the villi, but you can't see the microvilli yet. So again, remember that our main function of the digestive system is to absorb nutrients. So villi increase the surface area to absorb broken down foods. I like to think of it like this way. Which are you going to catch, like, or if you're trying to, if you're trying to, like, say for some reason lose your phone and then it's floating down a river, would you rather catch it with a closed fist and just try to grab it like this, or would you try to extend your fingers? You want to try to extend your fingers to kind of increase the chances you'll actually grab onto something, right? So what's happening with the villi is that they're little like fingers, or actually like they're like arms for these of the circular folds, and then the microvilli are like fingers that are offshoots of that arm. So you want to increase the chances that the tissues of your small intestines grab onto these nutrients. And what nutrients? Well, then we have to talk about our biological macromolecules. So biological macromolecules, we have our carbohydrates. Again, and this is where you can find 3 of these biological macromolecules. Just look at nutrition facts. And then we have proteins, and then you have your fats and lipids. Now the 4th type of biological macromolecule you're not going to find on a nutrition label because they don't provide calories, they don't provide energy. Unless you have very, very rare starvation conditions, you're not going to use nucleic acids as energy unless you're like pretty much starved of the other 3. So nucleic acids, this is why you'll find it on the nutrition label, but the rest of the 3 you will find.